All I do is punt.
Best offensive player and their best defensive player.
All right, we have a special guest today on the Outback to End Zone pod. You got myself, Adam, and I'm joined with Sam, runner of the draft route. Sammy, welcome onto the pod.
Adam, thanks for having us. We're excited to sit here and talk a bit of draft.
Love it. I've called in the experts because I'm a big Browns man. Jamie's the big Colts fan, but you're everyone. You've got everyone covered. So, really excited to get into talking about that. A little bit about your backstory. So, what sort of got you so invested into the draft?
Probably similar to everyone. I was a Saints fan at heart, kind of AFL footy season, cricket season. There's a bit of that middle area where we don't have either, really. So, as a kind of 15-year-old, we needed to fill some space, and along trotted the NFL. And then before I knew it, I became addicted pretty fast. My old fella was a big chess man, and it's kind of live chess. So, just graduated from there, and then before I knew it, I was laying in bed as a 26-year-old and writing notes on draft players, and my wife was like, "What the hell are you doing? Like, that's essays and essays on your phone. Who are you texting?" I was like, these are no top players in the NFL. And she just was like, "Mate." So, it's kind of ticked along from there, and we then passed on to his my brother-in-law and his cousin, and before I knew it, they were like, "You need to find a way to get this out into the open because there's too much in there." So here we are.
No, I love it, and we're just connected a little bit. Been following for a little bit, but connected over the weekend and with the draft season, and I was impressed, I guess is the word to say, with over 180, you said, profiles, and it's not the first year you've done it, and it's just great, I think, to have it out in the open and on the Instagram. Are you on any other social medias?
We are. There's nothing left. There's nothing on the socials because we kind of left it a bit late, right up to the. But it will be on TikTok. The podcast will kick off in a few weeks, so we can kind of go really deep into each of the draft classes for everyone. So at the moment, it's just the Instagram. The TikTok will obviously get going, and so the podcast eventually. But I left it late, but we had 2 weeks and we managed to get a good bit of stuff out there. So for anyone that's interested, there is player spotlights and breakdowns and everything. So go give it a look.
I can't wait to dive in. So let's get into it and talk a little bit of the draft. I guess firstly, who did you find as a team as your big winners of the weekend?
So it was a good weekend. I think a lot of the teams are doing a good job now. I think a few years back there was probably, you could tell who the losers and the winners really were. I think they were going a bit off consensus, but it seems to be a bit kind of well-rounded at the moment. But we'll start with your Cleveland Browns actually. They did a good job. They did a really good job. They AB kind of flexed his muscle a little bit. I think in the first round he did what Arizona couldn't, right? Everyone knew he wanted out of 6. He didn't want to sit at 6. He didn't want to sit at 6. He didn't need a defensive star, which was sitting there. Tate and Tyson, we'll talk about them a bit later. But, to get out of 6, get back to 9, get a few extra picks, and then go with his choice of the offensive lineman. Now, I'm a bit more of a Mauinoa over Fano guy, but to be honest, it's much of a muchness. To me, Spencer Fano, for those that haven't looked at the film, is very much in line with someone like Talise Falonga from the Saints. Probably has all-star guard potential, but let him fail at right tackle first. Send him there and then go. And then they came back, picked 24, probably the biggest need. KC Concepcion, as they like to say, surname for the ages, I think. But look, he wasn't our favourite. He wasn't my favourite. Not bad player. He still had a second round grade for us, but really good slot, quicks. Really good. He's going to make Shador Sanders' life a lot easier for those shorter routes. But then AB really got to work. I think round 2 was where he just tucked himself up and off he went to work. To get Denzel Boston in that second round, and not even the first wide receiver to go off in the second round. Like, Stribling went off, and I'm sitting there being like, geez, Boston's our third-ranked guy, and he was almost 2 for us, to be completely honest. He was like, if there's 10 markers for a prospect, at 1 marker, he was 1 mark behind Cardinal Tate. Like, that's all it is. Like, it's 0.1. It's nothing. This guy has got size. He's got quicks. He tested for a guy at 6'4", for him to test the way he did in the short intermediate game, his 3-cone drill was something stupid for that size. Like, it was 7'3", or it was something outrageous, and that just shows that when he's pressing that kind of route and then being able to just snap it off, makes easy separations. He's got enough speed to kind of stretch and keep them on their toes, but that's not where he's going to win. He then can use that and create separation. So he's going to be the X. I think he'll end up being wide receiver 1 for your Cleveland Browns, I think, in the end.
I love it too, and the thing I love most about the first two going back-to-back with the wide receivers was they're both different. They can both work in the kicking game as well, but the fact that KC's that slot, lightning quick, we've got Jerry Jeudy still, but then I'm with you. I loved Denzel Boston. I had him, I think, 16 in our mock draft we did going to the Jets, but just that size on the outside where he loves to throw a ball deep, and he probably to his detriment at times, but if he's got a real big 6'4" guy who can get down the field and just throw it up to him, that excites me. Better than watching him score 16 points a game like it was last year.
I was about to say, I don't want you to live through that pain again, because as good as that defense is, a little bit of on-offense can highlight people. But yeah, I think this is the thing. I think the general public will say, looked at that kind of big receiver and just expect him to this big jump ball kind of guy. Washington probably underutilizes him in that area to a degree. Like, at the 5-yard line, this guy is strong, boxes out. And then something that Cleveland fans will love, because they love a bit of dirty in and out football, like, he will block. Don't you worry, he'll get there and he'll block his ass off. So I love that. And then just a little cherry on top in that second round, and I'm sure you were grinning ear to ear when this one came in, but this is what he did, right? AB worked the board and was able to, with some assets, move up. Feel free to move up from the third round in the second round, and then to just go get Emmanuel McNeil Warren. We'll call him EMW just to make our lives a bit easier, but this is the NFL right now, isn't it? It's the big slot. It's how do I cover a tight end, stay in those nickel packages and still cover. I think everyone wants him to be Eamon Warry. He's not that athletic. Eamon Warry is a different animal. Like, this guy ran a 4.3. He's out here covering buddy Puka Nakua in the NFC Championship game. Like, AMW is not doing this, but he is going to cover tight ends with ease. He'll come down, he'll thump in the box. He'll make everyone's life easier, and sitting him next to Grant Delpit, it's a really good fit.
It's one of those things too. I was ecstatic when we traded up to get him, and the way AB moved around the draft board was exciting. But the thing that excites me the most about the Browns draft is wide receiver, tackle, and safety were probably our biggest 3 needs, but we never reached to get the need. And as you said, going back to the Spencer Fano pick, at 6, I was like, we can't take a tackle at 6. Like, there isn't a tackle worth pick 6, but to then get a third rounder and still end up with your pick of tackles, and then you get 2 receivers that are different types that are going to only help our offense, and then you just go bang in the middle of the second and go, well, this guy's falling, let's snaffle him up in a position of need was awesome. And then, day 3, it just kept getting better in my
eyes. He kept going, right? Like, he didn't even finish day 2. Day 2, he then uses this draft capital that he's gone and got. He goes up, trades for Brailford and Barber, and it's like, all right, now we've got tackles, we've got guys that can flex in the guard, we can develop these guys. Great. This is offense. Shador Sanders now has everything, right? You've got all those first round picks, you've got all that capital next year. If he's not the man, it's all good. We'll go up, we'll get our player next year, but we're settled. We've got something in the motion, so you're not going to kind of destroy a rookie quarterback. But third day, I should say. Justin Jefferson, you got one of my favourites. Everyone's going to go, oh, we traded for Justin Jefferson. No, not the wide receiver, the linebacker out of Alabama. And for Cleveland Browns, he's Devin Bush. That's all you got. You just got a cheaper version of Devin Bush. Like, he'll sit there, he'll play special teams, he'll be a killer on punt return, and then he's just going to roll straight in, eventually take that role as a will linebacker and just let him fly around and make plays, man. This guy's awesome to watch. He sat next to his partner, Deontay Lawson, who wasn't drafted, which kind of blew my mind a little bit, but just flies around. And then the big kind of finishing game was Taylor Green. Now, if this man hits, don't worry about quarterback next year. But I'm not gonna promise you that he's gonna hit. There's been a few in his mold, but he's pretty cool to watch. He's fun to watch. Every second throw is different. Like one will hit the bullseye and it'll be 60 yards away, and then he'll have a 5-meter dump off and he'll miss him by 10 yards. So like, then he'll rush for 70 yards. For anyone that wants a fun watching a bit of a roller coaster, watch it. It's fun. But your Cleveland Browns had a really good day.
Finishing on the Taylor Green one, going into the draft, Mary Kay Cabot, who's one of the Browns' best insiders, spoke about she would draft him in the 2nd or 3rd round, and I was like, look, I love the idea of chasing a quarterback. We said pre-draft, me and Jamie, I wanted to have a flyer on someone in the 5th, 6th, 7th, and for him to be available at the start of the 6th, the guys run a 4.37 40. Can throw the ball
at 6'5".
Yeah, can throw the ball off his back foot 60 yards. He'll get used in goal line packages and things like that straight away next year. And if it develops into something perfect, is it? If it doesn't, well, quarterback's just too big of an asset to not have throw darts at the
It's an asset. Throw a dart. You don't have one yet. Well, you might have in Shooter Sanders. You don't know. Throw a dart, but also throw a dart at guys with this kind of athleticism. I think what frustrates me in the NFL is when we throw darts at guys who are
Dylan
let's
Gabriel.
call them there we go. I don't have to say it. You can say it. But that's exactly right. I think this guy in the 5th, I wouldn't want him in the 2nd or 3rd round. Now we gave him a 3rd round grade because the physical upside is crazy. But look, him in the 5th to me is 1,000 times better than Carson Beck in the 1st pick of the 3rd round. I'm not a bet guy, so do with that what you will. But I just think they did a really good job. Like this is develop like these players and see where it goes. But the rest of the roster, look, the defense is good, elite as it is. But develop that offense, and I think they've done a really good job. And it's 2 years in a row, to be honest.
Yeah, well, that's probably, I know, wrapping up the Browns because I've been bandwagging it a little bit lately, but the thing that I guess excites me the most is if Shador's the answer, which I'm hope we give him a real red hot chance at it this year. Great, awesome, we're set at quarterback, but at least now he has 12 months to figure it out, because last year when you're throwing it to Jerry Jeudy who can't catch the ball, Harold Fannin was awesome and a superstar, but then our other receivers like Isaiah Bond, he can get deep, but still extremely raw. Then the rest of them, like, geez,
there's nothing there. And look,
I lived that
history.
Yeah, exactly.
As a Saints fan, when you have a look at what we had out on the park when Olave went out in that last game, it's like, if I showed a general fan, they'd be like, these.
Who is that?
Like, it's not. We've got Audric Estime running out the backfield, kind of saving fantasy championships, but that's about it. But yeah, I definitely know how that feels. So, and then obviously for you guys, hopefully Judkins comes back, kind of fit and fighting ready, because he's a special talent too.
Yeah, for sure. I guess now we'll move to a bit of the negative side now. Who, I guess, did you think had a disappointing draft weekend?
Look, we're not going to stress too much on Arizona. We'll get to them eventually, but I just didn't like what the Jaguars did. I can't hide it. It's just, look. The trade last year was what it was. They shorthanded themselves anyhow with draft capital, which is okay, but you have to hit on that pick. Like, for me, if Travis Hunter goes back and becomes just a corner, like I saw him as a better wide receiver, whether I'm right or wrong on that. It is what it is for us last year, who's kind of corner 2, but behind Will Johnson. But he can't play one position and you give up that much capital. You just can't be. Because he's not... I didn't think he was elite enough at either to give up that much capital, right? So, to give up that much capital, then you come in, then you've got second round grades. Your first pick's at 54, 58. And you reach kind of immediately on a tight end. A tight end in kind of Burkitcher, I'm going to, as I said, pronunciation, but Burkitcher, who, look, I had him as a 6th round grade, and to be honest, looking at some of the experts, I'm not going to call myself a complete expert, yes, but somebody like Todd McShay, who's been around for years, had him at 284 on his big board. They took him at 58. So, it's not just me saying that. It's not just a grade that I've watched. I think a lot of people were very surprised by this, and probably the players that were left after. There was a Sam Roush there from Stanford who was a big, perfect blocking tight end. There was kind of Max Clare who went almost immediately after. There was a bunch of tight ends that we really liked, that I really liked. And I do understand, look, like, tight ends kind of, we're having a bit of a wave here, right? Like, we're moving a little bit to that 13 personnel. It's a copycat league. Everyone's kind of using that 3 tight ends so that we can get a bit bigger. We can play against that nickel defense. But he just wasn't a good fit for me. Ironically, I'm having a go at their draft. They had maybe one of my favourite picks in the whole draft when they took Emmanuel Pregnon at 88. The big guard from Oregon, who's just
I couldn't believe how much he slid.
Oh, I had him in my mock in my first round. I think I gave him to Houston maybe at 26. But mate, mind blown. And I'm pretty sure it's an age thing. He's a bit of an older project, I think at 25. But I'm sick of this age conversation. It was the same with Akeem Messidor. Like, these guys are good football players. 4 years. Let's play for 4 years. Let's worry about a second contract when we get there. Like, these guys are really good football players. So for that, and then I think the rest of their kind of draft was reaches, and as players, I just think are depth players, to be completely honest. So I didn't love the Jacksonville Jaguars draft, but they could prove me wrong. But yeah,
I think, as you touched on with the trade last year for Travis Hunter, like, again, we're getting back to the Browns, but that's, I guess, was a massive thing that's helped kickstart the Browns rebuild it as such. But when you trade 2 first-rounders and a second-rounder for... He has to be a unicorn, and he turns out to now just play as a corner. It really handcuffs you, and me and Jamie were touching on it, which, as a Colts fan, he's not upset about it all, but the Jaguars have been this middling franchise who last year finally gave that glimpse of, we're going to be something, but then they lose Devin Lloyd in free agency, they lose a couple of others in free agency, and now they don't have a first-round pick, and then you're saying now their draft hasn't been great. It's like the Jags could easily be back bottom half of the league in 12 months.
Yeah, I think that's a fair call. I think what they're doing with Trevor Lawrence looked the best he's looked in a long time, right? So I think that has its advantage, and there's weapons there, but you just can't keep missing on drafts. Like, it's proven. Like, as I said, I'm a Saints man, and I sat there in 2018 and watched us spend an actual first rounder and draft Marcus Davenport, which most of your listeners won't even know who Marcus Davenport is, right? And
everyone thought it was going to be Lamar too.
I thought it was Lamar.
Yeah.
I think everyone thought it was Lamar, and I don't know what the Saints look like now. I'll tell you what, Sean Payton's probably still the coach, but yeah, I think I'm all for risks. If you see your guy, go up, get him, but make sure he's right. You just can't get it wrong. Not on that pick, not on pick 2. You can't get it wrong.
The crazy thing was, it was to move up 3 spots. Like,
it's crazy. Like, we've seen crazy stuff happen in those top few picks. Like, we saw San Francisco go up 2 spots for Solomon Thomas. But Chicago stuffed it anyhow. They took Mitch Trubisky, so it doesn't matter. Nobody remembers. But to go up, as you said, 3 picks in, I would have happily sat there. I think sitting where they sat, they could have just taken Mason Graham.
They could have taken Genty. They could have taken a number of guys.
1,000 pieces, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I didn't love their pick, but you did actually mention Devin Lloyd, who kind of flows. We might, if you're happy to, we might have get back to another team that did a good job. I actually thought Carolina had a ripping weekend. It won't I don't think it's going to sit on as much fun. Like, the Browns one's fun, right? There's wide receivers in there. There's linebackers flying around, but this one's your fruit and veg. Like, this one's important. You cannot convince me that they didn't want Kenyon Sadiq at 19. I'm pretty certain that's what they wanted. But
I wanted him at 24 too.
yeah, I think a few people wanted him at 22, but when you're a freak like that, you don't last long. So, but Munro Fearing, right? For us, he was our second tackle, and he's probably the highest ranked tackle per se, right? He's that prototypical size, long arms, massive hands, really good. Like, he's your prototypical tackle. And I originally when the Browns, in my mock draft, I actually hit this on the nose, by the way, had them trading back with Kansas City. But I had you guys taking Freeling. Because I just thought that you'd go tackle. Like, tackle.
Well, Joe Thomas, when we had him on, he said Monroe Freeling was his pick of the tackles. So, agreeing with the Hoff's a good place to be, I reckon.
It's a great place to start for me, I think. I think that's I might nip that one on the shoulder and take a badge for that one. But, he's your prototypical. And I think he slides into what Carolina need really well. But they then top that off with day 2. They went Lee Hunter. He's a big nose tackle.
The fridge.
I was about to say, for all the listeners, he's the fridge. That's the nickname. So do with that what you will. But
we had Jack Burgess, punter of Texas Tech. I was actually listening to it again today, and he goes, they call him the fridge because his name is he's just massive human, but he calls himself the fridge because you've got to get through the fridge to get to the quarterback.
That's exactly right. It's good, isn't it? It's a riveting nickname. But like anybody that's obviously listening to this has an interest in the draft. If you haven't seen this man, go look, because it's a lot. It's a lot of body. And him sitting next to Brown on that Carolina defensive line, good luck. You're not running the ball. And on those on the pass downs, he has enough upside to really affect that, but let Derek Brown just go to work over guards and tackles. So I think that was just a really, really good fit for them. And then they followed with Chris Brazell. I really like Chris Brazell. Chris Brazell's like, this is the guy I fall for every year, right? He's 6'5". He runs like the wind. He scores touchdowns for fun. But there was I was reading, and look, we don't know, we're millions of kilometres away, but there was a bit of like off the field stuff, I think, is why he fell out of the second round from all reports. But this guy's lightning. He flies, he bounces off. His route separation and technique to get in and out and then just send it is pretty special. So to get him in the back end of the third round is pretty good. And then day 3, they just kind of went bang, bang, bang. They took Will Lee, who is a smaller corner, but good in kind of that short area. Probably a bit more of a slot nickel kind of player as well. And then Sam Heck at centre, great pick. And then to get Zakiya Wheatley, who is another one in that mould of EMW, that bigger kind of slot safety, really good get at the back end. So, yeah, I think Carolina had a really good day too.
Just touching base on the receiver too, we saw Bryce Young in person when we were at the Super Bowl, and I got told off by a mate actually that listened to the podcast. I said I was 6'2", 6'3". He's like, there's no way you're over 6'1". But anyway, that's beside the point. I looked down on Bryce Young. He is not a tall human, and when you see it in person, it blows my mind a franchise could pick one on him, but they did. So having big receivers like Tet on the outside is so important because, well, they're bigger targets, they're bigger outside targets. So I listened to Todd McShay talk about him today actually, and he was saying how it was just such a good pick for the team as well.
Yeah, and look, I do have stresses that I'm going to be wrong on Brazil because somebody can't get him the ball. Because the arm strength's not there, right? Like, he's an anticipation thrower. That's how he's going to win at the NFL, with his kind of smarts and everything like that. And he's made jumps, but I was on kind of record saying when he came out, like, I wouldn't have touched him just because that's, for me, size is a skill, right? And
you can't teach
that skills. No, you can't, and they don't get any smaller, right? The same as watching AFL footy. Big blokes don't get smaller as the game goes on. So, right. Yeah, I think he works in pretty well with Tet, I think, early on. But, yeah, back into the third round, that's where you take a kind of flyer on these kind of guys. Yeah,
for sure. I'm really keen to hear your Arizona Cardinals take, because you teased it a little bit here, but let us have the Arizona Cardinals take.
So, for me, it's kind of not necessarily all the players. I love Love, right? Anybody that watched Jeremiah Love play football will have fallen in love. I think every person in fantasy is like, I'm going to get him on my team somehow, right? He was our number 1 ranked player overall. We don't kind of stack quarterbacks differently. We just kind of let it stack just based on talent, because that's all we've got right here. Like, so we're just telling the story and the narrative about those players. But he's a superstar, and I understand taking him, and he's going to fit into how they want to play football. They're going to be a run-first team. That's how kind of McDaniels coaches. That's his expertise, right? So it's not that I dislike the Love pick, but they wanted tackle. They wanted to do what Cleveland did. They wanted out. The difference was AB got out. He told everyone he wanted out, and he still got out. Arizona couldn't get out. Right? Which, they took the best player. I can't blame them for that. But there's a lot more needs than running back on their team. They've got running backs for days. Maybe not love running backs, but running backs for days. And then for me, they just kind of kept reaching. Like, Chase Pesontas, who's a guard, really good football player. And I think a lot of other people probably have him higher than I did, but we had Pregnon higher, right? So for me, you've taken a player that's not kind of in line with how we saw the board. Carson Beck at that third pick. They're picking a quarterback next year. Like, this is the thing. Take a developmental player, but take him a bit later. So I don't love that. There's players there that could help them right now. Like, there's some good corners still left. And then, who else do we have? And then the rest of the draft just kind of was just, once similar to Jacksonville, the rest just felt like just picks. And I just didn't love what they did.
I think, as you said, with the Carson Beck thing, we chatted before the draft about it, and I was like, on record, I didn't want Ty Simpson because I didn't want to waste an early pick on a quarterback, not because I don't believe in Ty Simpson. I haven't seen enough Ty Simpson. The 1 year start as a Warrior, and again, he's only 6'1", that worries me a little bit.
We'll talk about him later as well.
Yeah, but the thing that I didn't want it is because we've got Shador, and for the Cardinals, it's whoever, whether it's Jacoby Brissett, whether it's Gardner Minshew, but you're going to pick a quarterback next year if you suck. So what's the point of picking a young guy and getting half a season or 3/4 of a season and looking at him and then not really being able to judge whether you've got one or not? It just turns out to be a real waste of a pick.
It's just a no man's pick. And it's the first pick of the third round. Like, there's some seriously good talent. And you could have come up. You probably could have used a couple of your fourths if you really wanted to come up for a pick as well. I just didn't love how they managed the board. Some of the play, like, I don't dislike Chase Pesontas as a player. I love Jeremiah Love. Carson Beck's not my flavour, but I just didn't love what they did.
And that's the whole point of the draft too, isn't it? It's not just sitting and picking all the time. It's working your way around it so you get value and you can add additional pieces. And that's why we keep talking about the Browns, but that's why AB did so well.
He did a good job, and I think, talking quarterback, we may even use that to kind of bounce maybe back to one of the other good teams as well. And people won't have heard this too much, but I love what the New York Jets did. I loved it. I'll actually start with the quarterback piece, right? I don't like Cade Klubnik, but they took the player that is a 5-year backup with really good intellectual properties that can teach next year's quarterback, and he's never going to challenge for that first spot. And that's why I actually like it's the back end of the fourth. It's fine. Take that player, use him as what will be your backup quarterback, and that's what he's there for, right? So, and I think that's the difference between them and Arizona. That was for me. But we go to the front end. Look, I would have taken Arvell Reese, but David Bailey's a star. Let's not sugarcoat it or anything. Anyone wants to turn it on for about 2 minutes and make sure you watch this guy's spin move. I think I sat there for 15 minutes just watching this spin move on repeat, and these tackles are just inside, outside, it didn't matter. Just put this spin move on him, and the ability to flatten, close, and just finish at the quarterback is pretty special. So, look, I get why they took him, and it probably tells a bit of a narrative, right? Like, we all see, and I'm sure, I don't want to speak for you, but you watched a bit of Arvell Reese, I'm sure.
Yeah, for sure.
I think he's, for us, the low end, worse he is Demario Davis, right? Best case scenario is Micah, right? That's kind of where we're sitting. But I think what the NFL told us a little bit was that they see him closer to a middle/will linebacker right at this point in time, and then will give him time, right? The Jets didn't take him. Arizona Cardinals needed pass rush help, didn't take him. Tennessee, Robert Saleh loves this kind of guy, didn't take him, right? So you've got 3 teams have said no and let him go to the Giants, and ironically, he gets to play how Micah played. Right, so he's going to play middle linebacker or will linebacker to start off, and they'll use him as a rush, and then they'll see where it goes. But anyhow, back to the Jets. David Bailey's the more ready pass rusher, so take him there. Great. 16, Kenyon Sadiq. I loved it. For most people, as I said, I think a little bit earlier, we're moving a little bit towards that 13 personnel, which is I keep saying 13 personnel, probably not everyone knows, but that's 3 tight ends. That's 3 tight ends, 1 running back, and it's only 1 wide receiver. So to take Kenyon Sadiq, who pretty much is a big receiver, but is so strong and he works in line, he can work as a blocker. He was the best receiver at 16. Whether it's tight end or wide receiver, for me, he was the best receiver to take at that point.
That's why I was so keen at 24, because everyone's talking receiver for the Browns, but I was like, well, Kenyon Sadiq's the best receiver. Chuck him next to Harold Fannin, like, wow. So that's the pick at 16 for the Jets. Put him next to Mason Taylor, and you go, we're sorted.
And they can both play in line, right? You can even stack a side, right? So you can overload a side and put them both standing next to each other and go to work from that side, and then hit Breece Hall straight behind, and then play action's gonna actively live. Gino's probably licking his lips, to be honest. But then for them to come back in the first round, and then take Omar Cooper Jr. Like, for us, he was wide receiver 4. We were a bit lower on Lemon. We can talk about that a bit later if you want. But I love Omar Cooper Jr. I sat there and just watched it. He's tough. He's quick. Ball in hand, it's go time. And he gets in and out of breaks. He creates separation, easy separation as well, especially when he's going to be their wide receiver 2 and maybe their receiver 3. That's problematic for defenses. And then he makes big catches. Anyone that saw that game, Penn State event, Indiana, that throw from Mendoza's high, only place he can get it, and somehow he gets a toe down. I don't even think I could jump that high, let alone get a foot back in, right?
Oh no, it was madness. We chatted about it a little bit in our last pod. He just always made plays when Mendoza needed him to make a play. So that is so invaluable.
Oh, it's a security blanket that sits underneath that can turn a 10-yard pass, 5-yard pass into a 60-yard touchdown. And now you've got both of them, because Wilson could do that too, right? It's dynamic. And similar to what we were saying about Cleveland, you've now built something that if the quarterback, well, we know the Jets will take somebody, but it's built to then tuck a quarterback in. You don't need to go the quarterback route and then panic that it's going to not work out. And I think that's probably why the Raiders want to start with Kirk Cousins rather than Fernando Mendoza at the start. Whether that stays with that, we'll see what happens. But yeah, I think the Jets did a great job in the first round. And then on day 2, D'Angelo Pons, man, this guy's 6'4" and massive in his mind. He's actually 5'6" and nothing, but he can cover. I tell you what, he can cover. Man-to-man, zone, smart eyes, just a playmaker. Like, he got the ball back to that Indiana offense with ease, often. He's just one of those playmakers that you love. And ironically, he's probably the carbon copy of his coach, right? He's Aaron Glenn. Aaron Glenn's like, great, I'll just re-coach myself. So I think he landed perfectly. I think the Jets have actually done this job with smaller corners before. So I think they're going to do another one with Pons here. And then Darrell Jackson, another big space-eating defensive tackle that can get after the quarterback at the kind of back end of day 2. And then day 3, as we mentioned before, Cade Klubnik, probably a long-time backup, but that's kind of what they needed. And then another one that's kind of at the back end. And then for us draft nerds is VJ Payne in the 7th round, which I love. He's another big kind of slot safety that they can go to work there. So Big Green had a good day, I think.
Yeah, it's crazy to be talking about the Jets and the Browns having good draft, because normally it's the complete
Panthers.
opposite. Yeah, and the Panthers, yeah, it's normally the opposite. Oh, what have the Browns done? Or who have the Jets picked? The Panthers, we're all going to be crap for the rest of our lives. But it's nice to hear for the Big Green fans and us Browns fans, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think it'll come, but do we want to knock one more loser off, or do we want to go back through some of the favourite players? All right, we got to talk it, don't we? The Rams, man. At 13. All right, we'll go the player first. We'll talk about the player first. Ty Simpson. First, second round player for me. I've seen worse players. I've seen worse quarterbacks, don't get me wrong, go in the first round. Like, a lot worse. There's arm talent there. A lot of people say there's not. There definitely is arm talent. When he turns on the gas, it's there. Don't you worry about that. He's tough. He's athletic. Like, if he needs to go get 25 and make 25, and in the pocket he has really good pocket mechanics. Like, he gets in and out. The throwing technique's really, really kind of succinct, tight, throws really good spirals. So it's all there. The biggest thing is obviously, I think you mentioned earlier, the 15 starts is what worries kind of, let's call it NFL professionals. And for those kind of that aren't sure why 15 starts is such a worry, I think there's a proven track record. I think it's about 28 starts where it hits, where it kind of, once you get 28 starts, those players are usually have come into the NFL and had a better success rate. So, look, I like the player. I really did like the player. Not at 13 and not for the Rams.
I think too, as we touching on, like, he's had 15 starts. That's 1 year of college football. He's been a backup for 3, and then he's going to potentially be a backup for another 2 years. It's a guy who's just, yes, he's got time to develop behind Sean McVay and Matt Stafford, but he's not playing.
Yes.
And the thing about NFL training is, if you're not getting starting reps, you're not practicing. You've got to go on the backfield and train with yourself, pretty much.
No, and it's not like our sport here where we've got the VFL and you go around and you're still playing, right? No, mate, you don't play. You play on scout team and that's about it. You pretend to be other quarterbacks, ironically. He's going to be sitting there pretending to be Brock Purdy or whoever they're playing that week. So, yeah, and what I think, if I was a Rams fan, what would frustrate me is they've made all-in moves, right? They've given Stafford that 2 years. They've gone and got Trent McDuffie, which was an amazing move. He is an amazing football player. But if you're going to do that, then go all in here. Like, if I'm sitting there at 13, that roster's stacked. I get to just take the best football player. If they take Reuben Bain Jr., right? He's sitting there. If they take Reuben Bain and then as their NASCAR package, which for kind of NASCAR is when you put your speedy, quicker guys on, and you can slide him into one of the defensive tackle roles, and you go Jared Verse, Young, Bain, and Fisk.
Look out.
Good luck. Like, you got a luxury pick because Atlanta decided to give you a first round pick. As much as I love James Pierce Jr. as a prospect, like, he was my third, like, I love James Pierce and want to get to what he's been in the news for recently.
It's not the player that's the issue, it's the person, unfortunately.
Yeah, it is, but they handballed you this. And look, there's arguments to be said, well, okay, then you spend it on the quarterback, see what happens. But I don't think on this one, and I think if anybody told you, Sean McVay told you, if anyone wants to watch an interview, go have a look at that, because that's for me very telling. So I think that's where they missed. And then, look, they took Max Clare in the second round. Really good player. I like the player. They don't need more tight ends. They got more tight ends than anybody. They take one in the second round every year. That Ferguson last year, like they're just taking tight ends, and he'll fit in their 13 personnel well. He's perfectly fit for that job. But yeah, and then similar to the other guys, for me, they just didn't get impact players when all they need is impact players. Like they've taken, I think they took 5 picks, maybe 6 picks in the draft. 2 of them might make their roster. You may as well just use it and trade up and go and get players that you know can make impact on your team. So, yeah, that's just, for me, the Rams, just as good as they are as a team, they just, for me, it wasn't my favourite kind of draft.
And I think the biggest thing is all the chips are in. They've talked about fuck these picks and this and that, and then to go not waste, but use a pick on a guy who might not see the field in 2 years, it's just leaves a little bit to be desired. What happens if a pass rusher is they're one pass rusher away and Reuben Bain was right there, or whether it's a Malachi Lemon, or if you're going to go tight end, use Kenyon Sadiq. Whatever way, the options they had are plenty, but to just be all in, and then, but we're going to waste a top half of the first round pick on a quarterback. Yeah.
Now this goes back to AB, right? He knew the board. He traded back. Trade back and get him. Even if it's just a 20, like go get some ads, but let Pittsburgh come up and ruin the Baltimore party because everyone knew they wanted Vengawane, right? Like everyone and their dog knew that Wenger was going there, and he's a stud. Like he's a stud. He's built as a like in the pass game and in pass pro, like built to be a guard, and he just was sitting there, and you could have jumped your biggest rival, and everyone at that draft day, all 370,000 people would have lost their mind. But instead, you sat there and took him, and maybe the NFL knows things we didn't. Maybe he was going to go earlier than that, but I think
who though, like, I thought it was going to be Arizona trading in like the Giants did for Jackson Dart, but Arizona aren't getting from 32 or whatever they had, 30, what would have been 34
34.
To all the way up to 13 or 4. Like, they're only going to be able to get to sort of back end of the first round.
And nobody was given around first rounders next year, because we know what that class is looking at, and hopefully kind of today's kicked off more opportunities, so we'll talk more through that class as the year goes on. But nobody was given up first rounders for that year, so to go from 34 to even if it was just up to 18 or 19, I don't think it was going to happen. I think I had them trading up for him in my mock, but just up to maybe to New England's pick, maybe at 31. Like it was just a little flip of picks. So yeah, I just didn't love what the Rams did there. So, but hey, it still might be the best roster in football, ironically.
You look at I guess the last team to probably do it was the Packers a few years back with Jordan Love, and well, I guess looking in the rearview mirror, you'd take having another quarterback like Jordan Love, and if Ty Simpson pans out, you go, well, they were playing chess, we were playing checkers, but
that's why they get paid billions of dollars. And you and I are sitting on this podcast just trying to kind of convert careers into the sport we love. But you're right. Like, the Jordan Love things worked out for Green Bay, but in saying that, it's still, what did you give up? And I will forever say, like, Green Bay that year lost in the NFC Championship game to Tampa Bay. Now, could they have taken a player at 25? That means they go to the Super Bowl that year. And we can all live in kind of airy-fairy world, but to me, it's also, there's a risk there. Like, there's a risk that Reuben Bain is a superstar, and we'll get to my bloody favourite picks and why that annoys me, but I wouldn't have done it.
Yeah, that's it. Well, let's get into them. Who were your favourite picks? I mean, for me, I'm going to...
You go.
I think we'll get into Reuben Bain, but I cannot believe, not as a draft sort of nerd, but watching the college football playoffs and seeing the dominance of Reuben Bain and just people talking about the short arms, this and that, for him to not only drop out of the top 10, but to then drop to 15 and just... I don't know if you've seen the clip of him pick his draft cap up, but he just picks the draft up. He's just like a guy who's just going to go to work and he's going to get 8 to 10 sacks a year and he's just going to be a star for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Completely agree. Did you see the pipes as well? He fixed his gun shows at work. It's a scary man. But yeah, I think you said it completely right? He's... A lot of people look... He's a big man. Like, he's only 6'3". Like, he's not huge. He looks more imposing than that. But he's 270 pounds. And I think a lot of people think he's this power rusher that just gets in the tackle's face and just pushes back. He's not. Man, the bend on this guy's crazy. Like, go watch him do the pad drill. The ability to bend and then flatten out, because I think what a lot of people, well, we're probably here to hear from us, but the ability to actually bend and then flatten, that's the quickest line of the quarterback, right? And he's got it in absolute spades. He's special. And he's got short arms. Let's be serious. Like, I'm 5'11", 6 foot, and my arms are longer than his. So, he's got short arms. But he wins in so many ways. And that's the difference between him and Cassius Howe from Texas A&M, who also had pretty much proportionally just as short arms. And he went in the mid-second round, right? Because of those things. He doesn't have as many ways to win. Whereas Reuben Bain can beat you with power, moves, kind of, as I said, that kind of ability to flex. So for him to go to Tampa Bay as a Saints fan, oh mate, I went from a very happy man when we took Jordan Tyson to a very... Actually, we'll go to my other one, who's the other one, is bloody... For Caleb Downs to go to Dallas, and for Reuben Bain to go to Tampa Bay, to Dallas, for argument's sake, if you're not a Collingwood supporter, is that version, and Tampa Bay is a divisional rival. Downs, man. Oh, this kid's awesome. He's just awesome. He just plays everywhere. He's that green dot defender, right? Like, he won't have to let him wear the green dot. You don't need a linebacker to do that. Let your players fly around and let this guy just go to work. I just think he's gonna be an even better NFL player than he was a college player. He had this thing in college where he broke a lot of balls up, didn't take the ball away too much, right? It's because he was there too early. He was like, I can't catch it. I'll run past the ball. I'll just stick a hand out. And I think he'll just get coached into how to pick pick that interception off. There's not many college players that do it. I think I remember back to two corners. So Jalen Ramsey and Marshawn Lattimore, who were very, very high ranked kind of prospects. And they had this ability to run at 85%. Quarterback would be like, I can get that in there. As soon as that ball left, it was gone. It was 100%. They'd pick it off and take it the other way. Now, he can do the same thing. Like, he's just got to, if he can just temper it down just because he sees it so early. His play recognition is just unbelievable. But, him going to Dallas is just, it happens every year, right? Like, Kyle Hamilton, Derwin James. Like, when are we going to learn? The best defenses have great safeties. Just pick them. Just take these guys. Like, these guys are seriously good football players. And in saying that, I don't think anybody went before him that I was like, yeah, that is a shocking pick. So I get why it happened. I'm just not happy about it.
Yeah. Well, if you want to see a good reaction, Dave, one of the our US friends that went on our draft trip, he's a Cowboys man, and his reaction to Caleb Downs getting picked up is priceless. I compared him for people that aren't big football fans. Not sure why they would be listening to this podcast if they weren't, but as like a Tom Stewart, a guy who can just a total general in defence. Not only is a ball magnet and can just get the ball himself, but he'll tell everyone else, as you said, with the green dot, you be there, you be there, you be there, and just that like Swiss Army knife, really.
Well, it's for me the two reactions that can tell you everything. Your friend who was there, unbelievably happy. Did you see the Cowboys room?
Yeah.
Jerry Jones went from 90 years old to about 35. It was, I haven't seen anything like it. And then the other one is Nick Saban. The way Nick Saban talks about him, he said that in his freshman year as an 18-year-old, if he came out in the draft that year, he would have been the first safety taken. That is the rarest thing from the best college coach ever you will ever hear. So I think that, to me, that's probably enough. Like, that tells you everything you need to know. So
yeah, that's wild, isn't it?
Well, before I jump into, was there anyone else in the first round that took your liking?
The rest of the first, I would like to get your thoughts. Jordan Tyson was my favourite wide receiver. So when he went pick 8 to the Saints, when the Browns had pick 9, I was sort of like, well, that just makes the decision easy. I would have loved to see which way they went if Tyson was still on the board. Obviously had those injury concerns, but what were your grades and thoughts on Jordan Tyson?
He was our best wide receiver, and by a distance. To be completely honest, I spoke before how much I love Denzel Boston. I do believe he can be a wide receiver 1, but I think there's tiers of wide receiver 1, right? Jordan Tyson, to me, was the only receiver in the draft this year that had true number 1 wide receiver. My comp for him is actually absurd, so I will leave that to be generated. But for me, he somewhere sits as a player similar to somewhere between Justin Jefferson and CeeDee Lamb. That's the prospect you're looking at, right? To me, he was elite. He was our 7th ranked or 8th ranked player on the board. His agility, for anyone that hasn't seen his workout video, go watch it. Humans at 6'2.5", actually humans in general shouldn't look like that. His ability to go, snap a route off, and make easy separation. He actually makes fun of people. He beats them not once. He sometimes beats them 3 times. He goes back and then goes and he's like, I can beat him again. Wait, quarterback has I'll beat him again. And he wants to make people look stupid with his route running. And it is pretty special. The one thing he lacks is probably a bit of that top-end speed, but I don't think anybody would say Justin Jefferson or CeeDee Lamb are the quickest blokes either, right? But he's a true wide receiver 1. Great hands. He's going to make, as I said, for him, creating separation is where he's going to win and win over the middle. And combining him with Chris Olave as a Saints fan is something that I think could be pretty special. And he wins how kind of these guys win now in the NFL. creating separation, working in, because there's so much more zone, working into those zone windows. You see what JSN did. You see what Justin Jefferson does. Like, Jamar Chase is one of one for me. Like, he does it all and takes the top off. But yeah, I think this kid could be, all kind of injuries aside, I think he could be special, and I wouldn't have taken Tate at 4. Let's just put it that way.
I'm glad that you're saying this, because I've just seen a little bit, and as I said, I'm far from an expert, but he was clearly my number one wide receiver. You just, I guess, don't know with the injuries. Like, he's done the 3 ligaments in his knee. The collarbone one, that's just a potluck. Sort of, anyone could do that. And then I guess the hamstring this year, soft tissues are, you can have blokes that have soft tissue issues. I have my best friend, just playing local footy, did his hammy 3 times in a row, got told he should never play sport again. That was 4 years ago, and he hasn't done it since. So it's, who knows? And when you've got someone who could be, as you're saying, CD Lamb or Justin Jefferson, like, why not have a go at it?
Just bet on it, right? Bet on it. And look, the ACL, and it was a bad ACL. I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to tell you exactly how bad, but it was apparently a bad one. But the fact of the matter is, that was 3 years ago. He came back and played 2 years of football, and everyone said, yeah, he's injured. But let's just, for as much football as he missed, he almost had 2,000 receiving yards over the last 2 years. Imagine if he was fully fit.
Yeah.
Let's not. And Sam Levitt's not the most
exactly
accurate quarterback you'll ever find. Talented. But, yeah, I just think if he stays fit, I just think it's special. And he's the guy you build the offensive around, right? So, yeah. Yeah, I was pretty happy. And I think the Giants and the Browns were probably sitting there being like...
Made their decisions easier, I think, by
I think it did too.
The Saints going the way they went. Wrapping it up a little bit, mate. Give us a couple more that are just your go-tos.
We'll fly through a couple of first round. Dylan Thieneman, steal. Here's your prototypical free safety baller, runs like the wind. Just a baller. Favourites in the second round was Big Caden McPounder. Caden McDonald for those playing at home. Houston don't need more defensive players, but this kid's going to be an absolute stud in the middle. Colton Hood was one of our guys. If you want to see a breakdown, it's kind of on our page, so have a look at that. But yeah, he was kind of corner 3. Then actually, there's heaps in the second round, but one guy I really want, Anthony Hill Jr. He's a linebacker out of Texas, 6'3", built like prototypical linebacker is, and covers like you've never seen. His probably weakness is actually coming down into the box a little bit, but he can be taught that. But the landing spot for me is where it is. We talked a lot about Tennessee and potentially Sonny Styles going there, being Salah's kind of Fred Warner. Salah turns a lot of linebackers into good, seriously good linebackers. It's his skill, it's his bread and butter. And this guy, falling with him, to me, he will be a Pro Bowler, and I'm happy to kind of stamp that one. Like that one was really good. I just love that. And then there's probably heaps later. We talked about Emmanuel Pregnon as one of my favourites, but then there's probably one we might touch base on. I know we probably should wrap it up a little bit, but Jamod McCoy, right?
Yeah, that was wild.
Oh boy, you want to know what injuries do to people? You send a guy who was our 10th ranked player to 101. So this guy is locked down, top 10 corner in the NFL talented. This guy runs with everyone. He's man to man. He's in your face. He's a lockdown corner. He picks the ball off. I love watching corners, and I loved watching this guy. But clearly the injuries were just too much for anyone to handle. But this guy, if he stays fit, Vegas might win the draft just based on him on Mendoza. Like, he's got superstar written all over him.
That was one, when the Browns traded back into the second round, I was like, if we get Jamard McCoy here, I'm going to have an explosion out of my jocks, because I thought we needed a corner just to have a bit of protection for Denzel Ward would be just perfect. But to go to the fourth round, the Raiders actually, I think, had a really good weekend as well. They've had probably my favourite off-season, and we met a couple of really good people in America from Las Vegas. So I can't wait to see how their season goes with Mendoza and all their young pieces, as well as the off-season.
Linderbaum was a great get. makes a difference for Fernando, I think.
When I watched the Raiders Browns last year, and Browns got 10 sacks. Like, I was just pounding the table. You need to be able to protect Mendoza. They've got Kirk Cousins, as you mentioned earlier. Now they've got Linderbaum. They've addressed the O line there, and now they don't have to feed him to the wolves. No.
Good to go.
Is there anyone else you want to touch base on?
We'll go to the last one just because I love this player, and he's landed in Tampa Bay again. But in the 4th round, Keontae Scott, man. Anyone that likes a bit of kind of shit talk and loves like a Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, here's your guy. This guy's going to come in, play the slot, just whack the living daylights out of you and just cover out of the slot, and he's going to tell you about it afterwards. But he was just one of those blokes that you watch on tape and you go, yeah, this guy's a football player and he's going to hang around for a while. So another good one by Tampa. So yeah, that's probably, look, there's a bunch of other guys like big citrus in the 3rd round, Dominic Orange, but no, it was a really good draft for one that was quarterback kind of low. It was fun. There was a lot of good moves, and we've had one of these drafts kind of not too long ago where it wasn't as quarterback kind of heavy and it was a bit mundane, not much happened, but everyone was moving around this year. So, no, it was fun.
I can't wait to see him against Baker in practice. There'll be drawing off Baker Mayfield, just drawing off in training camp. There'll be videos of that. That'll be great to watch.
Don't you worry, Neil. He's gonna hit somebody at training.
Yeah,
like he's gonna run somebody over. He's just gonna be like, guys, no hitting today. Just like something. Like you can tell it's gonna happen, and it's gonna be.
Then
fun.
Baker will be over there throwing punches.
Just doing this all day, but maybe for your good mate Jamie, I love the Indianapolis draft. I did love it. CJ Allen's a stud. He's gonna sit there, green dot. AJ Halsey, man. You want to see someone bring the boom, but I think him just playing regular safety will be a really good pickup. And then come back and get Bryce Boucher as well as another linebacker. I think they did a really good job. Really, really good job from the Colts.
He was shattered. They missed out on Jacob Rodriguez,
yep.
But then when they got Allen, he was... again, another good reaction because he had to wait a day and a half to see his Colts pick at the draft. And
that's actually a good point.
He said by the time it come around and then they traded back, and that's another good video that we caught over the draft weekend. Well, thanks for jumping on. I've absolutely loved it. Feel like I've got smarter, which is half of the battle. Where can the listeners find you?
So thank you for having us. This is kind of my first podcast, so it's been good to be on. But you can find us at The Draft Route on Instagram and The Draft Route on kind of all your socials. So they're all starting to get live, as I said. So kind of watch this space, and hopefully we can get back on and chat some more football as the season goes on, and talk a bit of kind of roster building, which is what we love. So thanks for having us, mate.
For sure, mate. For sure, you'll be a draft expert. I'm going to call you.
Done. Sign me up.
I love it, mate. Thanks for that. Thanks for listening, people, and see you around like a result.